I put out a few shorts, and I'm live right now. And I wanted to talk about the current issue of what's going on, et cetera, and why I think this came about, et cetera, et cetera. So here's the deal. By the way, they did catch the guy. They did catch him. Um, so there are people that are happy about this, and I'm concerned because for many reasons. So if somebody was happy about the Charlie Kirk shooting, you got issues, and you didn't learn the right things at an earlier age because you were indoctrinated. Um, I will say that, and you need help. You really do. You're angry for things out of your control, but you can have control. And people are like, "Oh yeah, just take the guy out." No, that's not what it is. Start a movement too. But the thing is, when you start a movement, you gotta you gotta do it the right way. There is no violence. Speaking one's mind, not shouting, not screaming, not looting, none of that stuff. It's like a conversation I'm having right now, right? I believe this about religion, or my philosophies. That's how it's supposed to be. Protests, sure, people shout at protests. I get it. I get the point. I get the message. But violence isn't. Calling people names doesn't work. It doesn't. Um, you know, you let your word be known, and here's the issue. Here's the real issue when you look at it. The real issue is uh, not necessarily you. Oh, nah. It takes both. It takes two to tango, right? But the issue is this: your elected representatives. See, you can put a blame on them, and you could, but you're not even educated enough. High school taught that. My high school taught that. Your high school doesn't teach any of that. High school these days doesn't teach that. College these days might touch it, but wants to influence you. No. You need to know the rules, the boundaries, the regulations, the laws. You don't go to law school for that. That's something that every United States citizen should and needs to know. So, before I talk in many different directions, if you don't know the Constitution, your civil rights and liberties, then, and basic law, right, which is nothing to do with a degree. This is supposed to be taught in school. The kids these days, again, haven't learned it. So there are fingers needed to be pointed. But it's also the parents' responsibility to teach their own children. Because don't they want the best for them? If you love your kids, I mean, don't you? Don't you? So, with that out of the way, let's push that aside. What happened was an assassination to silence somebody because they couldn't win their argument and they were butthurt, they were angry, all sorts of emotional issues. And that is not the way to do things. If you don't agree with somebody, again, you need to talk with people you don't agree with, and just sit down and talk with them. If it causes too much stress, then don't even comment about politics. You have bigger issues. I would recommend a therapist, right? Um, go see your doctor or therapist or something. Talk to them. But nobody needs to be violent. And what I was talking about earlier is verbal violence versus physical violence. I understand on the mental health side, words can hurt, this and that, and I am an advocate for mental health. But with that said, is You cannot turn things physical. We have evolved, as in the kids these days, and society, towards especially the previous administrations, have talked about the, words hurt, words are violence. Oh, okay, so if that's violence, then so is hitting, and so is, doing what you did to Charlie Kirk and other political figures in the past, right? No, this is totally, no, you can't do that. That's not okay. It doesn't work that way. And even though it happened, that is not the way to do it, and it doesn't work that way. If anything, it's going to work against you in a grandiose form, like a big tidal wave. And that's not okay. And it hurts humanity. We're a country of that has thinkers and free speech. Use it. Get your ideas out there, but there are ways that you are to go about it. God forbid it gets so out of control that we now amend the Constitution to say how you can say things or whatnot. That is not okay. Okay? We need to respect the peace and safety of others while we are debating or talking, whatever it is, about our differences. It's about our differences. It's not about I'm right and you're wrong. The people who say that I'm right and you're wrong are ignorant. The ones who get angry are ignorant. The ones who can't control their emotions are ignorant. I understand mental health is a big thing these days. I get it. I get it. But I still know the difference between the law, right and wrong, what you're allowed to do. Again, the younger kids these days don't pay attention to this. And it's quite sad that they didn't get the education. A lot of them didn't. But on the other hand, a lot do. And thank God for that in this younger generation. Unfortunately, we have less leaders, but we have strong young leaders that are coming up, which is great. But to be able to sit back and say, I'm so angry, I'm going to out somebody, that's not okay. That's crossing the line no matter what. And they think they're solving their own problem or for the solution, but actually it doesn't. It does not solve it. It actually gets worse, and it's against them. So usually I'll go live on my computer, but it's on my phone today. I'm multitasking, but and I'm just talking today. It's very unofficial, but when you take a look at society and you take a look at what's been going on these last couple of days and past administrations, and yes, I am saying that, but I'm not trying to be political. It's just there. It's there. And to go all the way back to the beginning of all these, well, there's a lot of different times and changes, but let's go back to the first Trump administration, to where they were like, oh, he said, grab the woman by the, okay, pause. Stop right there for a second. Let's say he did. Men do say that. Okay? Men have said it. It's like locker room talk, or you talk to your guy, just like another woman would be like, oh yeah, I got that. I hopped on that thing, it doesn't matter. Like, it's the same concept. It's just he got caught, or whatever words you want to use. But the thing is, the other people that were in power, or other political figures, they actually did stuff, and they did it a lot worse. Him, it was just a verbal. He said, "Yeah, you gotta grab him by the whatever," Okay, it was verbal. It didn't mean he did it, but let's say he did. Okay, did you look at the other political figures? They did even worse. So you have a hearsay by Trump. But the other ones deny what they did, but there is proof. And not just proof in the pudding, there's actual proof. Well, wait a minute. What if your mommy, your mom, your dad, your best friend, your brother, sister, whatever it is, you know, you can't be like, oh, because it's Trump. Well, no. Or hey, no, it's Biden or Camel Toe, Kamala. You know, you can't. You have to look at the situation as it truly is. And the thing is, people watch the media to learn when you're just being told what they want you to hear for someone else's benefit, not yours. You need to be you need to look at things. You need to judge things for yourself. You need to do your own homework. And you don't need to have a degree in research to do it. You're taught these things in school. Schools are for teaching. Degrees are to say to give an award, or say, hey, I am more of an expert than such and such. Typically, most of the time. But let's say um, I'm going for a job, an engineering job. I'm self-taught. I didn't go to college, right? Uh, and then somebody else has a college degree. Okay, wait a minute. Now, if I'm in business and I want to hire somebody, right? If you're in business and want to hire somebody, you want to make money, right? That's what it's about. Business is about money. It's not about smiles. Business is about money. Um, that is a profitable business, right? Profitable, not a nonprofit. You're gonna want to hire somebody that's actually going to do the best job. So you're gonna hire. So if the person without the degree but is more knowledgeable and can prove it than somebody who has a degree, you're gonna hire them. It's common sense. Hey, what's up, bro? Berserk. So yeah, we see it more. Said hi. The degree is a more safe option. It can be, and it can also work against you. It all depends. It all depends on the scenario at the moment for what is going on in life itself. Um, most jobs want to see one, but if you know somebody at that job and they can say, "Whoa, this guy who's self-taught," which is far and few in between, because most people don't do it these days, then it's like, "Whoa, get this guy, get this guy. He knows what he's doing." Versus somebody fresh out of college that doesn't know anything about the world, right? You know, so. But yeah, today my thing is Berserk So about the issue that happened, obviously, and you know, it's just sad for what's going on because you don't use violence to silence somebody. Because violence, again, there's violence about people saying words hurt and stuff, which it can. Words do hurt. Words could be violent or have violence, but it's a different kind of violence. Physical violence is different than verbal violence, and so is one that's completely silences somebody. And what happened? Thank goodness they got the guy. Thank God they got the guy, because that's not supposed to happen. What happened if it was the other way around, right? There would be riots in the streets, but most conservatives just bite their lip and say, is today the day I'm gonna just erupt and go against these liberals? No, I'm better than that. That's the thing. But again, the media persuades a lot of people on what to think and what to believe when people don't do their own research, and that's the thing. I do look things up. I do. I don't watch Fox News. I mean, I do, but I don't. I might watch about a half hour a week, right? And I take it with a grain of salt, right? I'm just giving one new news organization I'm referencing. Otherwise, I'll watch YouTubes of actual things going on that actually hold weight, and people that have their own little news things on YouTube, because they're there to actually give you the news, right? You'll get more information out of those guys and understanding than a lot of the mainstream out there. But even though I lean more conservative, those values are very important. It does help, I firmly believe, and this is where, people will disagree with me, but, you have to have faith uh, for these values to even be stronger at times, depending on the situation. Depending on the situation, and that is me. But without a concrete foundation, um, it you're not going anywhere. And people who don't believe or have that higher faith, then I'm not saying that there's no rule of law, because there is. At one point, I had no faith. At one point, I considered myself atheist, and I returned back after that. But I mean, for years, and I learned. I was like, okay, well, hold on, some have had to create this. So that regardless, it couldn't just come from one single cell bit of matter or explosion for no reason. Well, matter had to be created, right? So, okay, there is a creator for sure. That's what I came out with. And then I looked into, did a lot of reading on, different religions and whatnot and so forth. I'm like, no, I did grow up the way I should have, right? What I was taught, for the most part. Without faith, people would commit the most terrible things to feel pleasure, and some will be good people, but people are easily changed. Yes and no. I'm not saying that. So you're more prone without faith to have that happen. The family values aren't there as much, or it's harder to achieve in a way because you are given those values. Those values come with your faith. Otherwise, if you don't have faith, you have to get those values. They're not just given to you. Some people will argue that, but for the most part, I'm going to say that I feel that I'm right on that. So, but again, to silence somebody because you disagree with them, your butt hurt, you're crying over it, you're angry. That's not the way to do it. The way to talk to people is stuff like this, in this kind of manner, this kind of maybe tone or so. Even though I'm a little monotone, it's not about screaming at somebody or raging out or any of that stuff, because the schools haven't taught the kids the right things these days. They don't understand truly what the Constitution is. They've never read it. They don't know their civil liberties. They don't know the civil rights. They don't know the difference between those two, which I encourage anyone to look up. There is a difference. You have liberties and rights, and the Constitution protects those rights. And you have amendments to the Constitution which secure your own safety, actually, from not just others, but your own government that could become tyrannical. And no other country has the beauty of this and the freedoms of this. Humans are very good at playing both sides of the morals. They are. We have not evolved to being more just, right? And being able to shrug things off of our shoulders and not cause a stir. But I digress in a way. Through faith, I believe you can easily been there, done it kind of thing. But then when you step away from it for a little bit, your faith, then you get back into the norm of things that you thought were normal. Well, the actual truth and the normal is the hard thing, which is faith. It's hard to get back into, but once you're in it, to me, it's beautiful, and you're winning. You're winning. You don't lose. Whether you're winning or not, you're not losing, if that makes any sense. The best way I look at it is in a debate, you are right and I am wrong, or I'm right, you're wrong, or we are both wrong. The best way you look at it. Okay, so um, I agree, but I also disagree. There's gray areas. There's places where both people can be right and be wrong. But the point is, regardless, I remember there was a time to where you can debate with people, literally sit down at a coffee shop and have these intellectual conversations, which you don't see anymore. But people actually did that at coffee shops. Starbucks was big for that, right? Now, forget it. You don't see all that anymore. Um, but back in the day, Starbucks was huge with it. Coffee and philosophy, uh, talking about theology or faith and stuff. Oh, it was huge. It was huge back in the day, and people literally is like, if you and I sat down in a coffee shop and said, "No, I think this because of this." Well, no, I disagree because if you look at it this way, da 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 da, and we're smiling, we're both smiling, learning from each other and having a blast. And it might sound bonkers to people, but no, like it's the way life should be because you get along. You can shake each other's hand, give each other a hug, which I did. I give hugs. The other people gave hugs too. Oh, okay, I'll see you later. Let's grab a drink later, or you know, that's what it was. Or okay, I'll see you at so and so's birthday, man. Have a great day. I'll see you next week or tomorrow morning for coffee, right? We'll continue it tomorrow. I gotta, you know, go somewhere, right? You had something to do, and that's what it was, man. There were no issues. There were none. There was not any that I saw, and it's hard to see that these days. I'm not afraid to talk to people about it. What what disappoints me is the ignorance and stupidity of people these days that can't do something like that. Or it's like, oh, I have to walk away. You made your point. I have to walk away. I can't. Then don't ever bring it up, and you need to seek therapy. Really though, and there's nothing wrong with therapy. I preach about it on these shorts that I do. I promote therapy. I promote mental health in a big way. But sorry, I have something on the TV, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to see this right now. But people, sorry, I almost got sidetracked. People need to be able to re-engage in conversation, but the problem is people have phones that go flip, 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 flip. Next thing, next thing. All of a sudden, it's 2, 3, 4, 5 hours later because your phone's dying. You're like, oh my gosh, and my hand is numb. We've all been guilty of that, and that's where that's one of the steps in society that a lot of people have taken to where a lot of mental health issues come in. And with that, what that is isolation, no communication with people, verbal, no critical thinking or intellectual thought any longer via dialogue. It's all cut off. People text more instead of saying, "Hey, how you doing?" And you have, it's a conversation. Like I'm live. I'm having a conversation, not a short, and then somebody else throws out a short, and then I throw out another short. It's like a text message. That's an issue with society. And then people believe a lot of things they see on the internet, or they're disturbed of what they see on the internet. I forgot where I found this, but they're right easily. Like, this is common sense. But people that watch stuff on the internet, no matter what it is, in X amount of time, it's a short amount of time, very short amount of time, extremely short. So I'll make the analogy of this, which is still reasonably accurate, if not really accurate. If I flipped through YouTube's and learned stuff in 1 hour, I will have learned more than 6 months of education 200 years ago. Our bodies and brains have not evolved that far, we are overloaded and overstimulated to where we're zombies and we got headaches. We can't think clearly because we do stuff like this. People think we're advanced. The technology might be per se advanced, but our minds aren't. Not by a long shot. We're chasing dopamine hits with shorts and violence. Yes, yes, yes. We are. And dopamine is addictive. It is the most addictive thing is your phone, right? Or your video game system, right? But your phone, it's your phone. It's your phone. Because it's right there in the palm of your hands. Okay, so as I'm changing hands. See, I don't like to touch my phone too much. But that's a big problem. And it's like, well, how do I get a message out, but people are going to still watch their phones? Because everyone's still on their phones. And I thought about, I'll just drop my phone. Like, I won't be doing shorts anymore. And I thought about it. I'm like, I still want to promote some mental health, but I felt a great need to talk about, the issue going on with Charlie Kirk, the assassination of him. I'm not afraid to use words. I'll use whatever words. The YouTube or especially Twitch. I wish I could have multi-streamed, so I got banned by Twitch today for some reason. But the point is, because I don't give a shit about Twitch. I just do it because people can watch, if I'm doing something. But other than that, fuck Twitch. I don't give a shit about Twitch. And I really mean it. The biggest platform easily is Twitch to say fuck you. But anywho, losing train of thought because I'm starting to hate them anyway because I don't like them. But I'm just my goal is to get banned by them one day, like a perma ban. But legitimately, like something rock hard, something solid. So, not by something just a little dumb. I want it to be good. I want it to be good. I want something people talk about. But, if the schools gave real education and scholastics rather than what they've been teaching these kids for 15, even 20 years, but 15 for sure. If they just taught what they were supposed to teach, the kids wouldn't have these problems these days. I'm being honest. Like, society would have a lot less of problems. A lot. Because they would be educated enough. They wouldn't be educated in DEI bullshit and stuff that basically not only brain rot, but it corrupts them, and they're not even getting an education. It's like, don't even go to school then. I mean, seriously, it's like, don't even go to school. I know people that homeschool their kids. There's a reason for it. It's so they get a real education, and they're not with people that are going to cause extreme issues at for the children at that young age, because it's not good for them. But now to have socialization, kids need social skills. What is this? You can prop it on a water bottle or nearby table. School needs to get social skills class. Yeah. Well, here's the deal. When I went, we didn't have a social skills class. We had social studies, but that was like history and stuff like that. But nothing to do with social skills. We didn't need them. Parents taught their kids. They taught me. And so did the school. But in a good way. In a good fashion. Not some kind of agenda fashion. They're like, no, these are the rules. You're in trouble. Oh. Okay. Shit. And then you have to go back home to your parents and you're grounded and you get a whooping and you don't really do it again. Parents are failing their own kids. There are parents that are failing their own kids. Thank God, not as many as you would think. Social media throws a lot out there, but it's not everybody. It's really not. Um, Sorry, I got sidetracked on something, but the the parents, there are parents that want to take no responsibility. Those parents are shitty parents. They are scum. I'll say it again. Parents that don't want to teach their kids and raise them properly, they're scum at best. So that's it. That's a problem with society. That is a problem with society. And schools and parents need to be able to work together, but not only under the school's rules, meaning the rules of, oh, we want to call him her and her him. No, we don't. No. You're confusing the kid. You're bringing them up wrong. You're bringing them all up wrong. They're getting sidetracked. They're there for a fucking education. Hold on. Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so, meaning the child, is disrupting the class. Oh, I need to take care of it as a parent. And I do believe, and it does work, and it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. There are times in life to set your kids up for failure to receive a punishment. Now, a lot of people can disagree with that, but a lot of people also say, no. They need to learn that lesson so they don't do it when they're older. So doing it while you're older, that punishment's going to be a lot more harsh in life than your own mom or dad setting you up for failure on purpose, unfortunately, on certain things, because you want to see your kids fail on certain things. They need to. They actually need to. Because how are they going to learn? By somebody saying something? Well, shoot, I'll watch a YouTube video on how to XYZ, learn about philosophy, engineering, or whatever, and call myself a philosopher or engineer. It doesn't work that way. You have to go through the grindstone. Kids 5 to 16 need proper education, and the rest are old enough to somewhat think for themselves. Somewhat, yeah. A couple of weeks ago, I went to a Wendy's. I don't like to eat fast food, but I did. I paid with cash. And the young lady, calling it how it is, she, the system, it didn't tell it, God knows how, but the cash register did not tell her how much to give back at a Wendy's. I don't know what happened. System was down, maybe. I don't know. She looked at the $20 bill I gave, because fast food has gotten expensive apparently, and she said, hold on. She got her manager or whatever, supervisor, I don't know what it was, came up to the register and counted the money. What in the absolute fuck was that? That's what we're dealing with. These schools and parents have failed certain kids. And at a certain point in life, meaning of the kid's age, it is going to be 100% their fault at one point. And they're going to have to learn these life lessons a very hard way that will set them back. You teach the kids now, the parents, you set them up for a little failure as a learning lesson or as a butt whooping, depending on what it is, right? And they learn from that. They literally learn from that. It's also called pain compliance. But it works. That's the thing. That's how you have good people, successful people who can hold their composure, people that aren't mentally thinking with their emotions versus saying, you know, what's right and wrong. The internet gives you emotions all the time to think about, and that's why people think emotionally than critically thinking. Of course, you know, I got groomed at 16 by. So a school did not teach me how bad it is, and movies made it hot and enjoyable. Yeah, you listen. Everyone grows up differently, and nobody's perfect. Uh, I'm a class act for imperfect. I'm a class act for being imperfect in many ways, but um, you know, the point is the parents truly try. They care about their kids, and I'll see kids with tablets and phones. It makes me want to slap the dog shit out of both of their parents. Both. Do I? No. Do I want to? Absolutely. Both. Because they're shit for doing that. They really are. And then they give an excuse why. Or, oh, they got phone time or all that. Dude, what are you doing? Like, are you serious? Your kid's going to be a freaking robot with brain fog. Like, are you serious? You're not training him to be a leader. You're trying to make him be a follower, and you don't give a shit about your kids, truly. You're only worried about yourself. Piece of shit. The parents don't know what they're doing, and the kids don't know either. Yeah, yeah. I know parents that are really shitty. I really do. I really do. And it show there you see it. I can see it in so many people or kids that not only are they shitty, I hate to say it that way, but their parents are. And at one point, you wind up stop blaming the parents and saying, "Man, what a shitty member of society now." Complete waste of I don't want to say waste of space, but complete shitty, you know? And then they're going to be a problem one way or the other in society. Whether they're financially broken, need to get out loans because they can't stop spending, all sorts of things, or commit violence or what, that's, it, it takes a village. That's a saying. It takes a village. And that means, people are like, oh, well, it's my family, it's my business. It is. But if you're not willing to be open to have extended family members helping you out on raising kids that already have kids, right? Then that's your problem. Like, and that's gonna affect your kid. Complete waste of yeah. In a way. But because I do promote human life, it's just hold on one second. I do promote human life, but when it feels like they're a waste of space and stuff or whatnot, it's hard because a lot of people do have mental illnesses, whether it be from the military, whether it be from um, things that happen to them or whatnot. I get it. I get it. But you need a good upbringing. That's what I'm trying to get back to. I mean, we can go off on side things about things, or what about this or that? Yes, no, somewhere in between. I get it. But to bring up your kids the right way, to be able to love your kids, but also your kids are not your buddy, your pal, your friend. You're the parent. I see different families, whether it's a friend of mine, an acquaintance, a family member, blood or not blood, family member, it doesn't matter. Like, I see this everywhere. I see parents that really care about their kids and what they do and what not. But you can't, but the ones who are too buddy, it's like it's a buddy relationship. Like, what the fuck is that shit? Like, no. You're the parent, and it always will be the parent, not your kid's buddy. I'm sorry, but that's dog shit right there. Like, they're not even an adult. I know people that have kids that are not even an adult, and they're buddy buddy. That's even worse. Like, that's even worse, because now you're enabling your child to get away with a lot more things. So, my mom or dad and I are best friends. So you're telling me you really don't have friends out there, and now it's just, what's mom and dad doing to you? That's the issue right there. Like, what are they doing to you? And I mean, I feel for the child or the children or kids that grow up that way, but it clearly shows that it doesn't work. It doesn't. You think it works. You see the smile on their face, but it's like me giving you a toy every day, right? Berserk. Like, that's what's up. And I see, what is this? That's fine. Life gives you cards. Got to choose what you want to do with it. I see a concerning increase in a certain Sweet Home Alabama moment between brother and sister. Oh, man. But no, and to get back to the topic, to preach love, to preach sternness, to be able to educate children and have them really truly learn is vital to not just the family but the individual, because then they're going to have a family one day, most likely, and then you want that to be passed down, these traits, God willing and hopefully. But when it also comes to let me digress again to what happened recently in with the shooting and stuff. Listen, I believe strongly that when people with mental health say words are violence, yes, it can be, but that kind of quote unquote violence is not the same violence that occurred. People think violence is violence. Violence is not violence, meaning there are forms of it, right? There are lesser and greater forms. There's different fruit in this world. There's apples and oranges. You have sweet apples, you have sour apples, you have different apples in between, right? That kind of thing. So when you silence somebody because you can't win your argument, or you're angry at the opposing side, or whatever you want to call it, right? It's not okay, because now you silence somebody forever. Well, what you did is you kind of made whatever the movement was, no matter what side of the aisle people are on, you made it even greater. I remember something I can say for sure, and anyone can check this out, and it's even on video. It makes it easier because it's newer than old. When September 11th happened, 2001, 9/11, right? The country was, man, just horrified. Like this. But the whole country was upset. Okay, instead of like 70% of the country was upset now over this because it was a popular vote, et cetera, et cetera. But anyway, let me digress. When you look at videos of people saying, we need to be together, we found out who it is, and we're going to go get them, you should have seen the smiles on everybody's face. The country came together. When 9/11 happened, the country came together. It didn't matter where you were from. Almost every single person came together. Didn't matter what side of the aisle you were on. Giving hugs, holding hands, saying prayers, all sorts of things. Checking up on, hey, you doing okay? All right, blah, 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 blah. And this person is on the opposite side of politics. Like, nobody gave a shit. That's how things need to be. I remember, again, when you could sit at a coffee shop and have an intellectual conversation of politics, religion, sex, all sorts of things. Literally at a Starbucks, just having fun and smiling. Y'all are both like, oh, wait a minute. You argue back, but you're smiling. You're actually smiling. You're happy. What's that? I would say natural selection. You made him a symbol of free speech. You made him into a bigger influence. Yeah, I see all these things, which a lot of people are saying. But to get back to it is, You don't silence somebody. That's a completely different form of violence. That is that was an assassination. You silenced him for good. Him, just him. But the things he's done took such a big impact. It's similar to other political figures. And I will even say, Dr. Martin Luther King or whatnot, it's a different influence and another different influence, right? So I'm not here to argue who did better or not. I'm not saying that. I'm saying he is in the same impactful world as him, but it's a completely different thing, right? So there you go. I'm not trying to say who's better or not. It's not that. It's not about that. It's about somebody making an impact and saying, Christian home, our country, here's our laws. Remember, guys, here's our laws. He said, debate me. I want to debate you. And it became huge. It became very big. And he wanted people to be able, he literally said, if there's silence, there's division. So debate me. I have an argument. For those who don't agree, debate me. Let's have an intellectual conversation. That's what he did. That's what he did. And because people were so upset about his views or him actually being right on a lot of things, whether people agree with him or not, he's right about a lot of things as well when it comes to in stone what the law is, what is this, what is that, or I can't debate you because I can't win, and people get butthurt. You can't have violence like that. That's something you just that's a red line you never cross. And luckily they caught the guy today, and actually his own. So the kid told what I think went back home. I think that's what it was. Told a family member, but not just like coming out and saying it. He's like, "Oh yeah, I did it," or something. Like it was brought up in conversation. I think it was. Don't quote me on that. But then that family member called a family friend, which might have been the pastor or preacher to their church. I don't know what it was exactly, but yeah, that was last night. So I don't know if they got him last night or early this morning. I don't know. I'm sure as soon as they found out, they picked him up. But yeah, that's it. His mugshot's up there and all that. But yes, Charlie Kirk was turned into and they say this also on the news, the actual mainstream and non-mainstream news and other YouTube influencers, whatever. The words two different things were said: martyr, and I quote that, and I also quote turning point. That's kind of like a double entendre because Turning Point USA was Charlie Kirk's one of Charlie Kirk's. It was the biggest 501c3 or 501c4 or 504. It's been a minute. Nonprofit, and it is actually, it's still going on. They're not going to give it up. Other people actually like Ben Shapiro and whatnot want to take his place in a way. So I have heard. But the point is, this isn't going to silence the debates and the arguments, right, that the organization had originally. Okay, it's only going to make it stronger, actually. And I'm going to get ahead of myself. The point is, this is about free speech, and we have this for a reason because we have a beautiful country. I would say everybody was good in 9/11. Most Muslims didn't really get a warm face. No, they did not get a warm welcome during that time. But you have to understand also in World War II, during World War II, the Japanese, I say the word Jews. I have Jewish in me also. I'm Christian, but I have Jewish blood in me. I say Jew. Who cares? I love them to death. But the point is, the Japanese were put into camps here in the United States, the good old US of A. Because during World War II, we didn't know what was going to happen. So it's like, okay, do this to make sure we save our country, or do this and maybe be wrong, but you're rather safe than sorry for the greater good. But when they put the Japanese in these camps here in the United States during that time, they didn't do them wrong. Not like wrong, right? but they separated them from society because we didn't know what the Japanese were going to do to us on our own soil that lived here, the Japanese that actually lived here. So they made it safer than sorry, right? It's hard to agree or not with it, but looking at a military standpoint for one's safety, I can agree on the understanding of why. And me being in the military at one point, I do. I not that I'm saying it was a good thing, but it's like, which is the greater good or the lesser of two evils? But as for were they compensated or whatnot, I don't know. But the point is, during that time, it was done and that was it. And just because it was a long time ago doesn't mean history does not repeat itself. History has repeated itself. Actually, just the other day with Charlie Kirk, history repeated itself because it was a political assassination. It really was before they even called it one. Like, it actually was, because it was a movement, it was a political movement, and it was assassination. So, there's a lot of things going on these days. It's like the 60s again or something, but in a different form or fashion. What's going on these days? Some lesser, some greater things going on at the same time. But because of social media, it's everywhere. Meaning people can see it everywhere. So it feels like it's more at your front doorstep when it's not. You see what I'm saying? JFK, yes, same thing. Yeah, either or. So that's the thing. People are too freaked out about things. It's like, look, it's not literally at your doorstep. Yes, it's on in our country, so it's not, so it is in our country, but it doesn't mean it's not in your subdivision, right? The big stuff, right? So I'm not saying don't worry about it, but learn what your rights are. Learn the Constitution. Don't look at YouTube to learn these things. Pick up and actually read the Constitution. If you've never read it, it's mind-blowing. If you don't know your civil liberties and rights and know the difference between both of those, you're gonna look at it. It's very short, by the way. You're gonna be like, what? I'm allowed to do this? Boom, mind blown. Or I'm protected for these things, and I didn't even know, right? That's how people, the first time somebody actually reads it, it's not jargon, it's actually, you just read what it is. You're like, it's just mind-blowing. You can literally Google it. But there are differences between the two, meaning civil liberties and civil rights are not the same thing. You have liberties and you have rights. Civil. Look up the difference. There is a difference, but it's a good thing. So again, we're coming up on an hour soon, and I'm gonna cut off. I usually I do my shorts that are only like, a couple of moments long, nothing crazy. Put out a few shorts today that were like 3 minutes long, because I like to keep it short and sweet. But I just want to go live today and say what I felt like I should say today over, unfortunately what happened with Charlie Kirk, but the reasons behind it. And, again, I think that the definition of verbal violence, like words hurt people, turned into, well, since you're hurting me verbally, I can physically hurt you, take you out, or whatever it is. There's a huge difference. It is not the same. It is not the same. And because I always like to talk about mental health on my YouTubes like this, I always promote mental health because I love people. I want them to be okay, no matter who they are, what side of the aisle are they on. To me, a person is a person unless you become actually violent, right? And commit heinous crimes, right? I love you. That's how it is. That's how I see things in life. And, I always promote, therapy is a great thing. I always promote mental health, but, there are things you just can't do. And unfortunately, the other day, the events occurred, and, it was wrong for him to do that, meaning the assassin to do that. But thank God they have him in custody. God have mercy on him. I'm sorry. I haven't got much sleep lately. But I want to, this helped me out to talk about it and about what I thought and how things have evolved especially with how the schools have taught kids these days. This all ties together. It's not just one thing or another subject. They're separate subjects, but they also tie together. And it's rough. It really is. It was rough on me when I heard that because I was like, man, this guy was so good for this country and what he did. It actually bothered me. I was really angry. And I said, no, I'm not putting anything out. I'm not going to talk about it till I have a clear mind, whatever. And usually I have a lot of brain fog anyway, but today I have a clear mind. I'm having a good day mentally, which is great. I can speak clearly. But that's it, but I wish everybody love and peace. And it's always good to talk to somebody. I'm about to go live anyway. Okay, cool, bro. Cool, bro. Sorry, I haven't paid attention to chat much. But it's all about, the golden rule, treat others how you want to be treated. But if you're not treated right or verbally assaulted, just shrug them off. Shrug the person off. Just go about your day. They're not worth your time any longer in life. Cut them out of your life. That's how I look at it. If I'm treated wrong, I don't even need to say another word to somebody. I can just turn around and walk away. When they're like, oh, what? You don't even give them an answer. You might want to, but don't. Satisfy yourself saying, I didn't say a word to them, and I walked away. I'm never going to talk to them again. Something like that. So, but I see another viewer in here, so hello. But that's all I've got to say. But a lot of people don't think before they act, and people need to think before they act. God bless this country and everybody else in it, and I hope everybody just stays calm and just keeps trucking. Like, I don't want to say like nothing didn't happen, because it did, but continue the mission of free speech. There's nothing wrong with it at all. Nothing has changed for that. That incident did not change free speech at all. If anything, it got more powerful. So that's it. But a lot of love to this world. And if anyone's suffering out there, there's a mental health line to call. And it's always good. I always promote therapy. So there's love for this. And I'm going to cancel the stream here in just a second. So have a great day, and I'll catch you around.